for all those people who have subscribed to this channel and who like our content or whatever. So the conversation that I wanted to have with you on the phone, I'm just gonna have it with you briefly now.
Okay.
Okay.
That works for me.
So all those people who subscribe to the channel, they like the content, whatever. So we try to, correct me if I'm wrong, Trey, but we try to take original POVs on trending topics. Like we try to approach things with original thought, and you could agree with our opinion, disagree, but that's fine. We like to start the conversation. So some of the stuff that we talk about may not be the most popular thing, but the quality is there. The quality is there. And we believe if we grind it out for the long haul, like we will build a loyal, strong following. Now, on the flip side, we could just talk about all the popular shit, especially in Canada, and we could probably build our audience a lot faster. This was a conversation I had with Dre earlier today. I said, think about it, and then let me know what you think. What do you think? What's the direction that we should take for this podcast?
So I did take some time to think about it, and I love the city, and I definitely want to cover and speak about issues that go on. When it comes to music, my only thing is that there's very little positive to talk about with music when it comes to our city. A lot of the stuff is all negative, and I know people love to hear that, and it gets you the views, and it gets you the clicks. But just to become another one of those podcasts or pages that capitalize off the suffering and pain and the anger and all that stuff that comes from what these kids are doing. And I don't know, man. It's a hard thing for me. Like, I would rather do the grind, and have to build something that I knew I built, not having to use that method. Now, as you said before, it would definitely get us more views, a quicker upbringing. But what we need is we just need support from the people that we do have right here who like what we're doing, to show people that that's not the approach that we want to take. We want to give you that news from a different perspective. You can go to other podcasts and probably watch the topics that we're talking about, but I guarantee you they're not talking about it from the angles that we're talking about it. Looking at it from different perspectives from anybody else that I've ever seen. Everybody just talks about the topic as it's shown on the highlights. You know what I mean?
Right.
We just recently talked about Cardi B leaking her breasts on IG Live, which everybody spoke about that. But they didn't find a way to connect that to how it's going to affect the younger generations of her fans that are watching that, and how what she's doing could have a negative effect in the long run. Nobody was talking about that type of stuff.
Right.
So we want you to be educated, leave here a little bit smarter, but also be entertained. So, I'm down for talking about Canadian topics. I love it, especially the politics, especially all of that stuff. But when it comes to this music thing, if it's not something that I can feel proud that I'm talking about it, and I'm not just doing it for the views, I'm 100% with it. That's how I feel.
Oh, yeah, and you know what? I'm so glad that you said that, because you're right, man. I think the last thing that I want to do is gotta come up off of somebody else's pain and anguish, because whatever's going on in the city, as far as like the violence and everything like that, I don't think it's appropriate that we find a way to monetize that. You know what I mean?
That shit is real. That shit is happening to those people in real life.
In real life, yeah.
They can stay here and joke about it, talk about it for 5 minutes, but then that's their lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. That's real. Like, they gotta walk outside and live that, and we're in the comfort of our own home, miles and miles away from it, as far as like, what they're dealing with, and we get to talk about it safely and crack jokes about it. So I agree with that. That's actually a really good point, and I don't want to come up off of that, because that's karma too. You know what I mean? And I'm a big believer in karma. So what I think you're saying is, like, we can talk about Canadian content as far as music, but let's stay away from the politics, the street shit, the gangs, and let's talk about good music or some bad music, whatever, if we get let down. But
Yeah,
let's stay away from the politics and the bullshit.
right.
Is that
We can talk about the artists.
okay?
We can definitely talk about the artists. I'm for that. We can talk about these guys out here, but as long as they're doing something positive with their time,
Right.
as long as they're doing something positive for our city, as long as they're doing something positive for their communities, let's talk about that. I'm 100% about
All right,
that.
I'm with that, and I think we should still keep the original thought content that we have because I love that stuff, man. Like I love that stuff. Like we're not
I'm
gonna.
I'm not gonna sit here and give you hashtags and hot takes and headlines. That's my. I think I'm gonna trademark that.
Like I
Headlines,
love,
hashtags, and hot takes.
like I love the content that we put out. You know what I mean? And I truly do think that the people who listen to it from as soon as you start listening to it, maybe I'm biased because it's our content, but I do think as soon as you start listening to it, not hearing it, but listening to it, you're gonna listen to it from beginning to end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, you could hate it, but that's fine. I want you to have an opinion. Like that's what we want. We want you to have an opinion, and people do have opinions. They put it in the comments all the time. So okay, perfect. All right. So next week or tomorrow or whenever we do our next podcast, we'll have some conversation about some Canadian content, some Canadian music, but to the point, none of the bullshit. Other podcasts can cover that. We are not.
That's not our thing, man. You want to hear that stuff? You can go elsewhere and get that.
But if you do want to buy some
If
you do want to buy some teleport, this thing is amazing. Yo, get some ginger ale and some ice. This is fantastic. Tell them that Chris Green of the Two Guys Doing a Podcast sent you. It's fantastic.
No, hold on. Just tell them two guys doing a podcast. I want some whiskey too, man.
All right, tell them.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Yo,
You just gonna exclude me like I'm not sitting right here?
Tell them that Chris. All right, tell them that Chris and Dre from Two Guys Doing a Podcast sent you. This right here, it tastes amazing straight and also with ginger ale and ice. Two Guys Doing a Podcast. It's a beautiful thing. Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey. I'm gonna be the first black dude to get an endorsement from these guys. Trust me. Anyways, man. All right, we out of here, you guys. Anything you want to take us out with?